Right out there. I guess Universal is, I don't know, filming a TV show or something outside. It doesn't matter. Hey, welcome back. The company Joval. They've sent me another projector. This guy right here. Joval. Joval? We did a little up here. You see the link right at this video. I got another one. So we're back for another gear review, and today's gonna be something more entertainment based. And this one has a little bit more features, a little bit more you know, I don't know, niceties that the last one didn't have. So I'm very excited to go ahead and unbox this and review it. This is not a sponsored review or anything. They just sent me this to review, so I'm here to review it. So just some quick notes about this thing. On the back side of this thing, you can actually plug in a VGA cable. You can plug in a USB, maybe a thumb drive with some videos you got stored on it, or some imagery. You know, kind of like in those old days where people used to do like slideshows, but maybe you have it on like a thumb drive or a hard drive, and you just plug it in and you just watch, you know, your travel things and your pictures, and yeah, the whole family over and all come watch. And you also got two HDMI inputs, pretty cool. And then you got yourself a little AV in, as well as you got an audio input, and yeah, pretty cool. So there's also a remote that comes with this thing. Everything's it can be wireless, hook up to your internet, hook up to your phone, wirelessly transmit from your phone to this thing. Pretty freaking cool. Now inside the box, you're actually gonna get a little carrying case, so you can take this guy with you on the go. Maybe you got a party or a friend thing going on, and you wanna bring in a projector so you can, I don't know, watch a movie at their house. You can do that. Or maybe you wanna get this for your kid to go to their friend's house and go watch some movies, and they can just bring this into their bedroom and blast it on the wall and feel super cool if they got a little theater in their little their room or whatnot. I don't know, man. It's up to you to kind of figure out what you're gonna do with this. You go ahead and open it up, and right off the bat, you're gonna get yourself a nice little remote, and everything comes packaged. I've already unboxed it because I've played with it already. Anyway, you got yourself a remote right here. Also inside, you got yourself a nice simple power cable. Looks like it's 6 feet long. So you know your arm span is your height, and my height is like 6 feet. So I knew that it's a 6 foot cable. Of course, on the inside, you get yourself a little instruction manual, as well as the projector itself. Now, when you get it, it is going to come with this little tiny blue thing right here. You just go ahead and unpeel that. Kind of protects the lens a little bit. Leave it on if you want. On the front, you got yourself a nice little focus ring mount right here. Pretty nice and simple. As well as on the side, you got this little red switch here, which actually acts as the Keystone. Now, it's an analog Keystone, so it's not digital. So just keep that in mind, that you can tilt up and down, but you can't go side to side. You got to put this thing straight on a wall, but you can go up and down. You just got to do a little Keystone thing right here. So just keep that in mind. Not off to the side, straight on, up, down. On the top, you got some buttons right here. So if maybe you lose your remote, or maybe it's somewhere else, you can always just come right over to the projector and utilize the buttons sitting right here. So you got a little menu system, a back button, a D-pad with an OK button, and a power switch. Pretty simple. On the bottom, you got yourself a nice 1/4-20 threaded screw right here, so you can actually mount this to a stand if you have one. Also, down here in the bottom, you got this little kind of nubby, so you can kind of set it on like a desk, and it kind of raises it up if you need to kind of angle it up more towards somewhere higher on your wall. So if you need that, it's there and waiting for you. Now that I got power, it's as simple as just pressing the little power button. It's gonna go ahead and take a second to fire up, and you can actually hear the fan going right now. So this is how loud the actual fan is, so you can kind of hear if I, you know, like it has some, it's audible, but it's not terrible. Now you can kind of see just how bright this guy is. I mean, it's pretty bright, especially if I just look into it like I just did. You know, I have a lot of lights on in my my studio here, so keep that in mind, that there is a lot of light. So, you know, the fact that we can still see the projector is pretty cool. But I did test this thing in a blacked out space here, and it actually looked pretty good. Now, it's nowhere near cinema quality, going to a movie and whatnot, and for the price that you're paying for this thing, it's decent. It gets the job done. So you got a couple different options when it comes to this projector, and you got the different inputs on the back here, the HDMIs, as well as you know, the USB, VGA, and you can actually stream from your phone directly to the projector. So if you wanted to, you know, play some recent clips that you have from a party or something you went to, and you wanted to show it to your friends or whatever, you can do that. Or just put up some pictures and have it in the background while you got something else going on. I don't know, man, it's your call, but you can do any kind of device, stream it right to this bad boy, and it's super, super easy. I mean, I use an Android. I just swipe down, go to, you know, cast, and then boom, it's right there. Broadcasting from my phone, the colors weren't amazing, but it did an okay job. But when I plugged in my PlayStation 5 to play The Last of Us Part 2, that actually looked pretty good. So when it comes to setting the color settings and whatnot in here, everything for the most part was pretty simple. You kind of, the one downside is you got to back up into a different menu where you can't see your movie or whatever when you're adjusting the contrast, color, and sharpness and all that stuff. You got to look at a menu. And then you got to go back into the source and see what you did, and then go back in the menu, and then go back into the source to like really check in on what you're doing. So that was kind of one thing that was a little bit irritating, you know, considering most TVs and everything, you know, you can adjust the color while seeing the image, and that really helps to dial in the setting that you want. Whereas this one, you got to go back to a setting, adjust, go back in and check in. And it's just, it gets this repetitive, annoying thing that you got to do. But you know what? It's fine. It's not a big deal. Once you're set, you're set. Now, in terms of the sharpness and all that stuff, this looked pretty good. To my eye, at a, you know, about like a 6 to 10 foot distance, it looked fine. Like, I didn't really see, this is 1080p. You're not getting some 720p blown up image that is supposedly looking like it's 1080p. It's 1080p and it looks pretty good for it. So not only will this thing do the 1080p, but it'll also, you know, stream up to 60 FPS. So that game, The Last of Us, on the PS5, I was able to get a 60 FPS, 4K, but down res to the 1080p here. So it looked pretty good. I was getting 60 FPS, 1080p, looked great, felt good for gaming. So if you guys are gamers, you want to game on this thing, know that it's going to look pretty good. Moving on to the actual lens itself and the focusing and the Keystone, goods and bads. So a manual adjustment is kind of hard, especially with this type of Keystone. So because this is an analog Keystone adjustment here, it's actually a lens that's turning the image kind of like that, if you kind of understand what I mean. But here's kind of one issue with it. When you go fully to one side or the other, part of your image on the top and the bottom get out of focus. So when you focus this up and it's straight onto a wall, it's going to look great. But as soon as you start to use this Keystone, the top and or the bottom might start to look a little out of focus because you're actually changing the image plane coming through this this lens here, because it's looking through a lens, and optics wise you're actually going to lose some of the focus on the bottom and maybe the top. So I was noticing that, and I, you know, to refocus to those sections would then get this center out of focus. So there's that. Now I'm all for digital Keystone. So if something has a digital Keystone, which their products later on I think will, from an update they sent me, this thing doesn't have digital Keystone. So a digital Keystone would allow you to set your image, figure it out where it is, and then you're good to go. Everything's in focus, and now you are digitally skewing the image to fit your wall shape and wherever you're looking. So for this to be still using some older technology here with just using optics to go ahead and, you know, do the Keystone stuff, it was a little bit of a disappointment. But it's nice that at least there's something there to go ahead and give you a little bit of image flexibility, so you don't have to have this thing directly aimed at your wall, perfectly horizontal right at the wall, like some of their other products. Now, surprisingly, this thing has a speaker on the bottom here. So if I actually tilt it up, you can see that this has a little section right here, and that's where the speaker is. And it actually sounds pretty decent if you set it to the movie mode. It's got a little bass to it. It actually sounds okay. So another downside that I wasn't too happy about was the overall you know, brightness and, you know, quality of the image itself. Now, it's not bad. It's just I'm so much of a stickler when it comes to like good image quality and like brightness out of projectors. Like, I want this thing to be bright enough that I can compete with the lights in my office here and not have to worry about it not being bright enough. And having a projector in general is just usually pretty tough. You need to have a nice dark environment, maybe get yourself a screen so it can reflect a little bit better. Getting good black levels in a projector is really hard to do. So price, how much we looking to pay for this thing? Is $270. So this thing is $269.99. However, there is a 70% off coupon right now on Amazon. So in the end, you can pay $200 for this 1080p projector. So this thing boasts a brightness of 9,700 lumen, as well as 12,000 to 1 contrast ratio. So if that means anything to you, there you go. This thing is a 1080p projector, and it also projects a screen between like 45 and 300 inches. So that's a pretty big TV if that's what you want. Now, it does say that the optimum placement is about 120-inch screen. So you got to figure out how big that is, and what the distance is. But now this is a dual band Wi-Fi projector, so you can, you know, play your games and be able to stream that to this thing and play on a big screen if you wanted to. So keep that in mind, that you can always connect your phone to this thing using the dual band Wi-Fi. Pretty easy, and from what I tested, seemed to work great. I mean, that's it. Simple projector. It's fun to use. I love projectors. They're a lot of fun, and there's a lot of uses for them. If you got a bunch of friends, you want to have a little party, get together, or something like that. So consider getting one. And Joval makes some pretty decently cheap alternatives to some bigger brands out there. So if you guys need something kind of simple, fast, lightweight, and robust in terms of features, this might be for you. Again, $269, but it's on sale for $200 on Amazon. Go check it out. I think they also have some other deals out there to get a stand for like 50% off, 40% off, something like that. More gear reviews coming down the pipeline. You know, stay tuned. I'll try to keep you guys informed. And I'm always appreciative when people send me stuff like this to get my gears turning in terms of how I could use this for streaming. So if you guys can think of anything to utilize this projector with in terms of streaming, comment down below. Let me know, man. Maybe I could try it out in a future video. But I'm always up for hearing new ideas, and I'll look at your comments to see what you guys talk about. Shout out to Joval for the projector. It's always fun to try out new pieces of gear and tech, and this thing's brand new, so go check it out. I'll put the links down below. They're affiliated links, so it'll support me if you go ahead and purchase through those links. Your call. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm gonna try to actually use this for a couple movie nights with the wife. See how that works out. But appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for the next gear review down the pipeline. Thanks for watching. Take care. Like and sub. Later.